don't need glasses.
Yeah, exactly, dude. You definitely need glasses.
We are far away.
You are getting...
It's way over there. I mean...
You are getting... Good morning, good evening from Hong Kong. Maria from Hong Kong.
I basically speak Hong Konganese.
And she tuned out.
Please don't leave us.
Please don't leave, Maria. He was just joking. Okay, Dave, let's go.
Oh, just like that.
Yeah, just like that.
Okay.
We've already prayed. Jim has already checked audio sounds. St. Stephen Hoole is watching. And if he's watching, what else do we need? What are we waiting on? It's the...
Okay.
Okay.
Today, I am here to give you the assurance that I have not forgotten you.
If we want to see the new evangelization become more than just jargon, if we want to see it grow legs and gain traction and change the world, we have got to take seriously our responsibilities as husbands and fathers, and especially as sons of God.
I want to propose to you then that something that our world is desperately in need of in the midst of this crisis is Catholic Christian masculinity.
If you want to be a good father, then bring your children to confession with you.
I can't get there unless I become a man of ascesis, a man of asceticism, a man of training.
A man not doing penance, a man not disciplined, is not a man.
You guys have upped your game.
You know what, guys? I gotta say, I love this concept of the show.
Warning. The Catholic Man Show is about to begin.
Welcome one and all to the Catholic Man Show. Adam Minahan here, sitting with David Niles in studio. I have some sad news.
What is it?
I have some sad news about Juan.
Yeah.
Let's all just take a moment, if you will, to add Juan to your prayers, for he will not be with us for not 1 month, but 2 months. 2 full months.
I don't know why we're praying for Juan. We should be praying for the rest of us.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Like, especially for the people coming to the camp out.
Right. So Juan is not
our
with
chef.
us. He's our chef for the camp out, and he's our producer.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody's going to come. Now that the news is, I wasn't going to tell anybody until
we're going to get some cancellations.
Until they showed up. They're like, oh yeah, Juan's not here. It's like, what? Sorry.
Right. Yeah. So Juan is leaving on business for a little while, so he's going to be gone for 2 months. So keep him and his family in your prayers. So we're going to be doing the next 2 months without Juan, meaning that Dave is going to be on the buttons. So, Lord help us. You're doing great, man. So today we're gonna. Should I just jump into the drink? Is that? I mean, do you have any other announcements?
Well,
that you
we just debuted a new intro. I feel like.
Yeah. Well, I think I've actually done it before, but not on live.
Not on an episode.
Oh, really?
Negative.
Oh, well, hopefully everybody enjoyed that.
I hope so.
If not, then you can send your emails to Dave.
I will happily forward them to you.
That's what, yeah, that
You're
happens.
welcome.
Yeah, exactly. You want to get into the drink? Here, I'll let you introduce it if you'd like.
Okay. We're drinking Douglas Lang's Rock Oyster, product of Scotland. So this is a blended Scotch. Mm-hmm. I'm a bad person to introduce it because I don't know anything about it. But it's according to the bottle, it's an extraordinary character with maritime island qualities.
So it's the same guy. Douglas Lang's is the same guy who did the Big Pete.
Which we had that one on the show.
Mm-hmm. So this is... He's done this one as well. The color of this looks... very
Ardbegian.
Yeah, it doesn't look like... it's been aged for very long.
But Ardbeg is that way too, where it's very, very light in color.
Mm-hmm.
Anticipate
Jim, I'm gonna give you.
soaked rocks and a salty
I'll give you a little
oceanic
bit, even though you don't like Scotch.
fresh influence on the nose.
So it's a small batch. It's a little interesting. We got some reverb on my mic, is what I've been told.
Some late pepper.
It's vatted.
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 Vatted is what I would say.
Which is interesting. It basically means it's blended malt. It's like the formal version of blended malt. So
Interesting.
Blended Scotch. So,
including those distilled on the rightly esteemed islands of Islay, Jura, Arran, and Orkney. Man, I'm glad Orkney's not my name.
So it's gonna have the smoky peatiness to it, especially with the guy who distilled the Big Peat.
Yeah.
It's going to have some of that.
That's my speed, I'll tell you.
One of the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Cheers to Jesus.
So like we said, it's a very light color, a very light yellow, like Ardbeg. If it's from Jura, if it's a blended of Jura and the Islay Islands, Arran is a malt that's highly underrated in my opinion. It's only about a $35 bottle for the 10-year, maybe $40, but it's a really good Scotch in general. What did you think of it?
So my initial thought was right away, there was very little flavor. Like I'm talking, the first few instants of my first sip. But then that quickly went away, and it had a nice iodine flavor. Like straight out of a petri dish. Which I really do mean it's a good thing.
On the nose, I get green apple. Yeah, I get a very citrus smell on the nose.
How much was this bottle?
It was about $55, I think.
Okay.
It's about $55.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the entry level, really, for blended scotches, and for the most part.
Did Trump put tariffs?
Yes.
He put tariffs on Scotland
and Irish whiskey. Scotches and Irish whiskeys are gonna have 25% tariff.
Trump. All right, it's like this has gone too far.
This is getting a little ridiculous.
We're getting out of hand here.
Especially if we're like putting tariffs on Scotch.
Personally. So I don't care.
Stock up.
I don't care if you put tariffs on shoes or other stuff. I haven't bought shoes in years. Okay, I have shoes, but I'm always running out of Scotch.
Right. So we just did a episode on Catholic Answers Focus.
I'm gonna have to call him.
Give him a call. Send him a text.
I'll shoot him a text.
Yeah. Maybe tweet him. I hear he's
the other day.
No. We're gonna. I'm diverting this.
That's my story. That's all of it.
Good. We just did a Catholic Answers Focus episode on the virtue of temperance and drinking with Cy Kellett. That was a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering, hey, why are these guys drinking on air? You can go to Catholic.com. Go to Catholic.com anyway. There's a ton of great articles and audio for you to listen to. But you can go there. You can go just type in Catholic Answers Focus. The first one that pops up, because we're the most recent, shows our episode. So you can kind of get an understanding.
Depending on when you listen to this.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you can get an understanding of why we drink on air, with the virtue of temperance, the virtue of moderation, the importance of knowing oneself, because moderation looks different for everybody, etc., etc.
Correct.
So anyway, how's your prayer life been?
My prayer life has been good
overall.
Yeah. So today I went to Adoration, and Adoration was closed for Columbus Day. I guess we do that. Typically, if public schools are closed, they'll follow just the local.
And you forgot. So did you just hang out?
But the public schools
in the
are not
church?
closed today. So I did. I was the only one in the sanctuary, which was really nice. Like, it was a good example for me of how a space can elevate your prayer. You know how a setting helps set you in
It's
the
so
right
funny
place.
because
Just
some of
the vaulted ceilings, the echoiness of, like
But
that
isn't it weird
quiet,
that some of the biggest places you almost feel the most intimate as well?
Right.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
That, like, I'll go to Holy Family Cathedral here in Tulsa and just spend time there, which is a beautiful cathedral. It's just gorgeous. The altar is just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just sit there and
even though the tabernacle might be far away,
it still
is like you're there.
It's still a very intimate feeling.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably because the architecture, the aesthetics of the building promote the sacred.
Yeah. So I was there I said my rosary. I'm in the sanctuary all by myself. Really good acoustics.
Did you sing?
I did some singing.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd you sing?
Well, I sang the Salve Regina for the end of my rosary, and I sang the Tantum Ergo before I left.
I thought you were going to say, Jesus is my friend. I have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is my friend. Jesus is mi pana.
But that's not what you said.
I didn't actually go with that one.
Okay.
God, opportunity missed.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So wing and a miss. But you did.
God, you just can't get moments like that back.
Did you do the Ave?
Yeah. Oh no, not the Ave Maria.
No.
No.
Okay.
No. I thought about it, but you
didn't do it.
I just didn't. But it was still nice to do. I enjoyed it.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. What about you? What about you?
My prayer life?
Yeah.
It's going okay. It's not. I'm just trying to stick to a regiment. Been trying my best to do the Auxilium Christian Orm in the morning, because I have found that if I waited till like noon or something like that, it's not gonna happen. So
wouldn't be prudent.
So I've been trying to do that as soon as I pull. I have to have these rituals. If I don't set rituals for my prayer life,
yeah,
it just doesn't happen.
Totally.
And so I have the ritual of as soon as I pull into my office parking lot before I walk in. That's when I pray the Auxilium Christian Orm.
That's when you do your own office, so to speak,
quote unquote.
See what I did there?
I do. High five. That was nice. I like that pun.
Thank you.
So it's going okay.
Glad to hear it.
When we get back, we have an interesting topic today on men and the parish life. Also, the importance of men grouping together. We're going to give you something free. We're going to give you, the listener, something free when we get back. So we're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass. Are we still getting reverb on my mic? It went away?
I thought it might. That kind of stuff usually goes away.
It's so weird that...
I think it's just a Facebook thing.
It's so weird that happens.
The delay is so long.
Yeah, the delay is very, very long.
A lot of people going Facebook Live tonight. A lot of competition. People are... Thank you, Mark. Mark Ortiz appreciates my Dana Carvey impression. Not gonna that. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture.
Very few people would appreciate it.
Yeah.
But
more money for school's good.
But here we are with Mark. Hey, Adam Conk is listening. Adam Conk.
Osama bad.
Adam, if you are listening, have you been ordained yet? He was on the fast track for the diaconate. I'm hoping you do. I'm digging the shirt out. Oh, thanks, Sam.
It's very like retro modern.
Very retro modern. Yeah. Very vintage today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the new release vintage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Adam, I know that you're from. Anyway, Adam is one of the best guys I've met from Louisiana, and I've met quite a few people from Louisiana, believe it or not. But
that was something that Trump would say.
I have the best.
He's one of the best guys I've met from Louisiana, and I've met a lot of people. A lot of folks from Louisiana.
Almost.
Okay, and he is one of the best.
Sweet, Adam. That is so cool. He's 5 months away from the diaconate. So listen,
right on.
I was at I was in Louisiana for a business deal. I call Adam Conk and I said, hey man, I'm almost here. I have an evening. Would you want to hang out? And he's like, yeah. He invites me over to his house, and I can't remember how many kids he has, but maybe 8-ish.
Nice.
He has a strong Catholic family.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, come on over. And so I go over there, and his wife is so gracious she's cooking dinner for us. She sets the table. We have dinner. And then I get a chance to pray the family rosary with them right after dinner, which was just so much fun, to see another family, to kind of get the inside view of like another family's prayer life. It's it's a beautiful thing. And so
Totally.
It was just so cool to just sit there, and I observed, each kid and what they were doing, and just the hustle and bustle of like the little ones, trying to move around, throwing the rosaries. Like, good. I'm glad that your kids are doing the same thing my kids are doing. That makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, my brother-in-law, Father Sean O'Brien, he was recently telling a story about when he was invited over to a family gathering on a Sunday, and this particular family, they would all get together on a Sunday, the aunts and uncles, so there was a lot of them. And after dinner, they all just started praying the rosary, and he said it was just so natural, like everybody did it, and he said he was just like so excited that this was happening, because
it feels good to have
this this is it. This is culture.
Right. And they had like this rosary bowl where they had all the kids' rosaries in there. And so everybody, after dinner, they went, picked up the bowl. Everybody grabbed their rosary out of the bowl, sat down. It was epic. He's a great dude. Also friends with Carlo Broussard. So that also is a +1 for him.
Yeah.
Because Carlo's pretty awesome.
Yeah, another great guy from Louisiana.
Another great one.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
I wonder if we're saying Louisiana right.
I
know that they say it, they have their own way about saying many things in Louisiana.
That's true. They have their own dialect.
Yeah.
They definitely do. I like it, personally.
When I can understand it.
I like it even when I can't.
I stopped at a gas station one time in Louisiana, and there was this guy who said something to me.
And you just
3 times. He said it to me 3 times. I was like, what? And then after he said it the 3rd time, without any progress in my interpretation, I just said, no thanks, and walked away.
No thanks.
I didn't know what else to do.
Would you like to pay for your drink? No thanks.
No thanks. It's like, I'm not going to make this poor guy say it a 4th time, because it's not going to matter.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Shall we sally on?
Yeah, let's keep going.
You ate an insect, is what Adam is saying.
Yeah, I did. Did a lot of things.
Did Adam Conk send us the Chesterton Fine Cigars?
No, he's asking you where you got it.
I got it out of the mailbox, Adam. That's where I got it.
Well, Chesterton Fine Cigars is from Louisiana.
They're from Louisiana, but I got mine out of the mailbox.
Yeah, they sent us some.
It's actually a nice shirt. I like that shirt.
I do too.
And my wife likes it.
Which is a big deal.
More importantly. Yeah.
Let's get going. We're digressing big time.
Ready?
Yeah, let's do this.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles here with Adam Minahan. We're drinking some Rock Oyster blended scotch today. It's really good. I'll just tell you my own opinion is that for $55, I'd rather pay $40 and get Ardbeg.
It's like $45 now.
Yeah, it depends on where you go, but yeah. Thanks to the tariffs.
I don't even think that's with the tariff.
I think you're right. I think it's going to go up more.
Yeah, it is a decent blended scotch, is what I have to say.
Yeah.
I mean...
Oh, yeah, no, it is. It's good. But for the money,
It would be good for the people who are wanting to get into more of the peaty, smoky side because it's not aggressive peat and
You're
smoke.
right. It's not as much as Ardbeg. It
Right.
is. It is a little bit more muted.
So
that's
So that's something.
That could be, or you could just water down your Ardbeg.
Sure.
A little bit. The thing is, if you're buying a Scotch in this vein, the peaty, smoky, it's really hard for me not to buy Lafroig or Ardbeg, the 10-year of both. Because those are just so good.
Especially now that the weather's changing, man. That's when I like the peaty and smoky scotches. Is whenever the weather's getting a little cooler outside.
I do too.
I almost was tempted to light a fire. In the fire,
I almost did yesterday.
I was so tempted. I even asked.
And then I went outside, and it's like, it's almost 70 degrees.
Yeah, so I didn't do it. I even asked Haley. He's like, "Do you think I could?" And she's like, "It's still kind of warm outside." And you're like, "Yeah, you're right."
But Haley was having some people, some girls over yesterday for their Curcio thing,
right?
Their weekly gathering, and I was like, "I'll light a fire for the girls."
Right.
It'll be for the ladies.
Right.
I was like, no, I can't do that.
Dave, so you and I have talked quite a bit in previous episodes about the importance of men getting together, the importance of men's groups. So today on our man gear, we just had our man drink the Rock Oyster. For the man gear, we're gonna talk about some of the groups that we've been in, but our gear is actually going to be this pamphlet. It is what we put together. It's how to start Catholic men's groups. It's an awesome pamphlet, and we're going to give it away for free. I'm going to set up a landing page tomorrow morning, so if you're listening to this tonight, it won't be there, but it'll be on our landing page tomorrow morning. Go to thecatholicmantra.com. It gives 7 steps.
The Ides of October.
Yes, the Ides of October. Yeah.
We'll be ready on the Ides.
Sure. It has 7 steps for forming a men's group. Things to not do. I think the things not to do is almost just as important as the things that you should do.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things you should do, but there's a few that you shouldn't.
That'll just crush the group.
Yeah.
It's suggested material for meeting together. So anyway, we're going to give this away in PDF form. Go to thecatholicmantra.com and we'll give this away. So that way, ideally, you read this and you say, and if you guys don't have a men's group already, you start one. So let's talk a little bit about the importance of men's groups. Let's start out with the size of a men's group.
Okay. Depending on the group and the purpose of the group, the size will vary. So if you're talking about a men's club at the parish, it could be up to 100 or more. Mm-hmm. And that's good. I think that there's a place for those kind of groups too to make
like the Knights of Columbus,
right? To feel a part of a greater of the whole.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because there is a lot of benefit in that, where you all come together, and it's like you've got all these reinforcements. Psychologically, I think that is helpful. Mm-hmm. But what I think is really most important is to have a group of 4, 5, or 6. Mm-hmm. And then if you start to get into double digits, I think your group is too big. Mm-hmm. And that is a real problem that I think people often encounter, and we need to strip ourselves of the attitude that says splitting up the group is a failure. Splitting up the group is not a failure, it's a success. That means what you've been doing is so good and so attractive, and that men are desiring it so much that your group is growing to the point where it's too large to function as the intimate, in the way it's intended. Mm-hmm. So that's a good sign.
Right.
Another thing that you could consider doing is closing your group. Saying
making it closed.
Like, we're all best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to. It's only us. And I think there's value in that too. I don't think that that's bad to say no. We're not inviting other people to our group. So from the beginning in your men's group, decide what's the purpose. Are you open to new people coming? Are you not? Mm-hmm. But I think the primary group that a man needs is a small group that meets maybe weekly. Like we have our Tuesday morning group.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about our Tuesday morning group, because I think we should talk about our Tuesday morning group versus our monthly group that we meet with. So our Tuesday morning group, for the last almost 8 years, we've been meeting every Tuesday morning. For the last 6 years, it's been at IHOP, which is pretty awesome. because we have our own back room where we get to be. We have the server, the waitress that is there. She has all of our stuff basically ready by the time we get there.
Yeah, they let us sit in the room by ourselves.
Right, which is nice because then we get a little bit of privacy and we have the opportunity to talk. So it's you and me, Juan, our buddy Scott, and then Sam Guzman from the Catholic Gentleman. We all get together and we read something, or we have some kind of discussion based on current events within the church.
Yeah, or at least we tell ourselves we're reading something.
Well, we're about to start tomorrow. We're starting a new one.
Yes, Arcanum Vitae.
Yes,
Divine.
Yes, Pope Leo the 13th's
Divine
encyclical
something.
on Christian marriage.
Yeah.
And if you're a patron, you go to patreon.com/theCatholicManShow. We're going to be posting our notes that we've from the meeting, so that way hopefully you start in your men's group reading it as well, and we can compare notes and we can talk about it a little bit more.
But that is, I think, one of probably the biggest question that we've had is, I have this group of men where we'd be happy to meet together, but we don't know what to do when we get together.
Mm-hmm.
What's the medium? What's the meat of the meeting? And it is helpful to have a resource to go through together. I don't think that it should be. I think if you ask people to read whatever it is beforehand,
it doesn't happen.
That just ensures that no one will do it.
Right.
Okay.
Because no one wants men don't want homework.
Right.
Is basically what it is. Is like, listen, we have families, we have jobs, we have extracurricular activities. I don't have necessarily, and I have my own study time that I have to study for my own personal gain. I don't have more time to develop to that. So it's better to have something that you read together on location.
Right. But I think that the encyclicals of the church are a wealth. I mean, they're all about the right size. Most encyclicals are short.
Right.
Where, if you're getting together in an evening, maybe in a couple meetings, you might make it through the whole encyclical.
Mm-hmm.
As of late, Pope Francis's encyclicals are significantly longer than encyclicals of the past. I think the longest 2 encyclicals are both written by Pope Francis.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so his encyclicals have been much lengther.
Okay. Or the Wednesday audiences by JP2 that are now known as Theology of the Body.
Yeah, so if you have a grasp on Theology of the Body, then I think reading his Wednesday audience addresses is very helpful. I know we got a lot out of it, but we had all none of us were brand new to the theology of the body, and
right.
It was hard enough. That was kind of a hard resource, I thought, for us. But it
was definitely hard because there was times where we didn't even get through a one Wednesday audience in a sitting.
Yeah,
and we meet at 6:30, 6:45, depending on who gets there when.
Yeah,
and we go till almost 8 o'clock. So we have almost an hour and a half.
So I think that your small group should be your intimate, close friends. These are the guys. It's like, this guy's helping me get to heaven.
Right.
And if they're not, they might be your best friend, but if they're not helping you get to heaven, they shouldn't be part of this group.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he's willing to do that, to take that step. Right. Okay. So then the bigger the group, the less often I think you should meet, is kind of a rule of thumb.
Okay.
And then so have a resource. If you're meeting in the evening, it's a great idea, I think, to have, smoke cigars and have a drink. Mm-hmm. Because that just seems to really facilitate a good conversation. But let's see, what are the things not to do?
Okay, so in this pamphlet that we're giving a giveaway, go to CatholicManShow.com. We're going to give this away as a PDF. But there's a couple things that we should not do that you and I have learned over the past 8 to 10 years that we've been doing men's groups and starting men's groups, and we've learned a lot of things that we shouldn't do.
Changing them a bunch of times.
Yeah, changing them a bunch. One of the things is don't have one guy lecture. Here's the deal. A lot of businessmen sit through business meetings all day long. They sit through lectures, they sit through business meetings, they sit through conference calls. If they're going to give up a night away from their family to go listen to another quote unquote lecture, it's going to be hard to get them there.
Yeah.
And that's not really what the idea of this group should be. It should be more about conversation, growing together in virtue, growing together in Christ.
Yeah, I think it should be a discussion.
Right, more of a discussion. And so one thing is don't let one person dominate the conversation. Mm-hmm. Don't let them give the lecture, quote unquote. That's one big thing to do.
Right.
Do you want me to give you another one?
Yeah.
Don't overburden the host. That's one that we've burned some bridges in the past of.
Yeah, don't make it where one guy, it's his job. He always comes up with the material to read. He always provides the snacks, that kind of stuff.
Right. This should be a community thing. It should be, if you're growing together, everybody bring. One of the things that we do on our Spirit and Smokes, which is a monthly deal group that we meet with, everybody brings 2 beers to share with everybody.
Right.
And that gives you an opportunity.
So you get a little pour of everyone that everybody brought.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Open to non-Catholics.
See, that's a big question.
Depends on the group.
Depends on the group.
Are you trying to reach out and evangelize to people? If it's a closed group, I think.
If you're meeting weekly, I don't think so, because the point of meeting weekly is to take seriously your faith.
Is to become a better Catholic.
Right.
I mean, I think that's really your number one priority. Once you got that taken care of, other groups, I think it's okay.
Right. I agree. So when we get back, we're going to talk about the importance of men in the parish life. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass. I feel you being the only young person in the parish. We're actually going to talk about this.
I'm not sure how to say your name, if it's Bo or Bow. I'm going to call you Mr. I'm going to call you Francis.
Because that's the one. Not a fan of that one, huh, Jim?
Yeah, Francis. That is really tough. And that definitely happens. Especially there are parts of Oklahoma where it is like small town Oklahoma, the Catholic population approaches 0. And so if you happen to be a young Catholic in a small town in Oklahoma, you might literally be the only. I mean, it might not just feel that way. You might actually be the only young adult Catholic. But there are Facebook. This is one of the times where Facebook is really awesome for finding Catholic young adult groups. Like here in Tulsa, we have Catholic young adults, and it's a pretty good group. I mean, it's a good size. They have a lot going on. Sports, talks, beers. I'm sure there's other stuff. Those are the ones I go to. So,
right.
Oh, they even do like pilgrimages sometimes. They went down to Guadalupe.
Oh, I
a couple years ago.
That's true.
Anyway, also there's a lot of young ladies in there.
In these kind of groups.
Like if you're a young gentleman looking for a nice young lady.
It's Bow, by the way. That's how you pronounce it.
Bow.
Like Bowser?
Like Bowser. That's what I said. That was one of the options I said. I did say Bow.
Nice. I didn't
hear
you.
That was the second thing. But anyway, Bow. See if you can find a Catholic young adult group.
Okay, so I think going into this,
we should have called this episode "The Story That Never Ended."
Why?
Because that's kind of what happened.
Right.
In this topic. The bishops just never finished.
Yeah. Before we actually get into this part, I want to talk to you a little bit about just what we've seen as far as bigger parishes and how it's harder to have men take ownership in the parish if there's nothing for the men to do.
Okay.
And then we can get into the actual, I stumbled upon this from the USCCB and the grassroots movement, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Hey, you're driving the episode, so.
Oh. Buckle up then.
I'm not going to.
Let's go.
I like to live dangerously.
Well, that's not smart.
And they told me not to drive. Said that only proves that I'm insane.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. We just got done talking about how to start a Catholic men's group. We're going to give away a pamphlet. Go to CatholicManShow.com. We'll send it to you free PDF version so you can print it out and start your own Catholic men's group if you have not done so already. I was trying to figure out a topic for this episode this week, and most of the time the topics come to me in adoration, but it did not come to me in adoration. I felt like it was almost have you ever done something like, I'm going to adoration for a specific purpose, and you just keep trying to force this, like, oh, God's going to tell me about this topic, because I'm sitting in front of him, so he's going to tell me about it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not how God works. You don't get to dictate what he tells you.
Mm-hmm. But usually when I've done that, when I'm doing that, it's because I already have an idea, but I don't like it.
You just want to affirm it?
But it's like, no, I don't like it. It's like, okay, well, that's a good backup idea. But I'm going to go look for some real authentic inspiration, something where I can sit back and be like, wow, I went and prayed, and God inspired me, like a sweet prayer story I can tell just about how holy my prayer life is and all this stuff. And then I go in there and get nothing. And it's like, well, I guess I'll have to do this other thing. It's just my backup idea. And then that's when I realized, like,
that was the idea.
That's what I should do.
Right.
That is the thing that I should do.
Yeah. And I actually would love to talk about this topic with Michael Gormley. Do you know Michael Gormley?
Yeah.
Gomer, he does the Catching Foxes and Every Knee Shall Bow. I really like Every Knee Shall Bow. You should check that out as well.
Okay.
But because he's really big on community.
I just don't like all the cussing.
Right, I understand with Catching Foxes.
Yeah.
I understand that. But he's really big on community and like trying to implement discipleship within their parish. So I'd really love to actually talk to him about this topic sometime. But Dave, you and I have gone to many parishes. We've talked at several many men's groups, and one of the things that I find interesting is that the bigger the parish, the heart. And these are broad brushes. I understand that this isn't everybody's story. Don't send me emails saying that yours is different. I'm just saying, like, this is generalizations.
Unless yours really is different, he wants to know. If it is different, he wants to know.
I'd be interested in what you're doing. Maybe. But it seems that the bigger the parish, the harder it is for men to actually take ownership in the parish.
Yeah.
So, for example, the parish that we go to, we've been members at since we were baptized there. We've received all of our sacraments there.
Yeah.
So our parents were kind of the generation that started that parish. Like, they were some of the founding members of that parish.
Right.
And so if you go to the men's groups there, it's those men. Those men are there.
Yeah.
And they rarely miss.
Yeah, no, it's still the same.
It's the same guys.
The same guys who were in their 30s when the parish was founded.
In 1980.
And now they're in their 60s and 70s.
Right. And so, but the reason why is because when they were founding this parish, they didn't have the money to outsource all of this stuff. And so they had to lay their own sod.
Right. Like today, I think we have about 1,800 registered families. Is that?
Yeah, at our parish.
Does that sound? Yeah, about right. And it was just a couple hundred, or 100 in the beginning.
Yeah, and but it seems like that there's not very many that go to it outside of those men, and I think one of the reasons why is because there's no way of men putting their own thumbprint on their own DNA in the parish. They don't have to take ownership in it.
Yeah.
So because it's so big, they feel like that, well, if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. Mm-hmm. One of the things that was very interesting in our parish with our previous pastor, we had a all-night adoration one night, and he said in his homily, "Men, I expect you to sign up. I expect you to sign up."
Yeah.
And when he said that, I
remember that.
I was like, before he said that, I was like, yeah, I should probably do that, but I wasn't very affirmed in that decision. And then he said, "I expect you to sign up," and I was like, well, I better sign up. My priest is expecting me to do so.
Right. Yeah, he called us out specifically to cover the overnight shifts. He said, if you're a man and you're hearing me, I expect you to sign up.
So I don't know.
But that resonated with me. I was like, all right, I wasn't going to, but if that's what
what you need,
the truth is, all a priest has to do is ask people to do, like the men anyway. Like,
I hope that's what
even today, they do all these surveys, Pew Research, blah 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 blah. One of the things that they ask people is, if your priest asked you to do something, would you do it? Almost everybody says yes. I mean, it's in the 90%. Like, yeah, well, if my priest asked me to do something, I would do it. Mm-hmm. So, like, I think they're just afraid to wield that power. And if you wield it too much, if you keep going to the same well.
Right,
but men are ready to respond, for this kind of thing.
Yeah, and most of the men who come back to the church, when they ask them what made you come back, they say, I was invited.
Right.
That's the main reason why they came back, is because they were invited.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, don't you think that it's tough? I think that each parish size has a challenge, but the bigger parishes have a challenge of, how do I incorporate men taking ownership in this parish because there's so many of them? Do you think that's accurate?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Because, like you said, in the small parish, you feel needed.
If you don't do it, it's not getting done.
A man wants to know that he's needed.
Right.
And so at these big parishes, who mows the yard? Who mows the lawn? Well, we pay somebody for that. Who does the flowers? We pay somebody for that. Who painted the church? Hadn't been painted in 10 years. Who painted it? Well, we hired somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a mistake. I think it's a big mistake.
When it really hit home with me, when we were talking to Father Jonathan Meyer, and he was telling us that he has 4 parishes. He has 4 parishes, and guess how many people he has on staff?
2.
2.
Yeah.
A total of 2 with 4 parishes. And he says the reason why...
He has 1 parish, 4 campuses.
Right.
If he were here, he would correct
me.
Yeah.
That's accurate. But he said, you know why? He says, because I tell the men that if it doesn't get done, it's not going to get done. If you don't do it,
right,
it's not going to get done.
So Father Sean O'Brien recently came and spoke to St. Benedict all about what your priest needs from you.
Mm-hmm.
He came in and said, I'm not your pastor, so I can be honest with you. And he basically said that if you're a plumber and you find out that your parish hired a plumber, he said, you should be ashamed of yourself. Like, you're a plumber. If the parish needs plumbing, you should be doing it. Okay?
Right.
If you are a painter, then you should be painting. And that, I understand that, like, you can't just quit. It's not like you can quit your job and spend your days painting for free.
Right.
Maybe you get paid to do it even, but it should be, other people shouldn't be doing that job if you know how to do it, especially if it's something that you could volunteer for. So like right now we're building an Adoration chapel, and he said, guys, all of you can paint.
Right.
You better be the ones painting that chapel.
Right.
Because you don't need to be paying somebody else to do that. And when he said that, I thought, that is right. We should be painting that chapel. I can paint. I have a paint stick, where you suck up the paint into the handle, and you can just you can paint for days without even refilling. It's an incredible.
It's a great man gear.
Like, if you have a lot to paint, if you have a small amount to paint. Anyway, the thing is that is important, not because it saves money. You have a big parish. Money is probably not your problem.
Right.
It's not about the money. It's about the buy-in.
Right.
It's about
the taking ownership in the parish.
It's about that guy who comes to Mass, but doesn't have this deep spiritual life, but comes to Mass, is Catholic, mostly nominally, but
the Mechanical Mike.
The Mechanical Mike. If you've been to Cursillo, then you know who Mechanical Mike is. It's about him, because now all of a sudden he paints the Adoration Chapel. He's in that Adoration Chapel. He's proud of it.
Right.
I painted this place.
Right.
And so when he's more likely to go and visit Christ in the Holy Eucharist, because he's the one who painted it.
He was part of it.
Right. So if I think we shouldn't be paying people to do the gardens. We shouldn't be paying people to mow the yard. Maybe mowing the lawn is kind of a big chore for someone to do all the time. But that could be even better to have, sign up for one weekend out of the summer to come mow the yard.
Well, I think it's interesting when I go to smaller parishes, except Haley and I travel sometimes, and when we go to Southeast Oklahoma, we go to these smaller parishes, or when we go to the the FSSP parish, it's a smaller parish, but they're on fire, and it's because everybody has ownership, and it's like, my wife has to clean on Wednesdays, and I have to, and while she's cleaning, I'm outside doing the yard work, and while I'm doing that, somebody else is taking care of the AC units, and it just seems like that everybody has this ownership and understanding of, like, if it's not going to get done, or if I don't do it, it's not going to get done, and so they have this ownership. They want to make sure it succeeds. They take it just as serious as their own home.
Right. And that's what makes it a parish and turns it into a family parish.
Right.
You know, because you go to all these old, like the parish in Pahuska, you know, literally, it was the wealthiest town in the nation at the time, because it was where oil was first discovered. And so there was more wealth in this tiny town than there was in all of New York City. They were the ones building the church themselves. They were there pouring concrete, and like they did buy and pay for a lot of things to be done, like the stained glass windows, but still it was like, oh, my dad helped build these pews and helped hang or plaster the walls and stuff. And so when you have that kind of thing, you are building Catholic into your family.
You're actually building the culture, the Catholic culture.
It's like your kids are not going to leave the church that you built with your hands.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They won't even sell the house that you built with your hands, much less leave the church that you built.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about what the USCCB, they put out a report back in the early 2000s, and a little bit about some statistics on men in general in the Catholic world. We're on the Lord's team,
the winning side.
So raise your glass.
You want to just keep going?
Yeah, that's fine.
You have anything to say to me?
No.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles here with Adam Minahan. We didn't mention it before. We do have Jim Spencer here in the Peanut Gallery. He's holding down security over there. If you guys ever tried to break in here while we were recording one of these shows, you would meet with a bad end, my friend.
Yeah. That's true. So I was doing a little bit of studying on this topic.
Just check this guy out over here.
Yeah, there you go. There's Jim right there, hanging out.
Hey, Jim.
So I was doing a little bit of study on this topic, and I ran into, funny enough, the USCCB put out some introductory and progress reports on by the Committee of Family and Marriage and Family and the Committee of Evangelization, basically on the grassroots movement of men and their ministries, men's ministries.
So these are lay ministries that are springing up out of nowhere.
Right, and this was back in '99 and 2002. But I think they're interesting. I think that we can maybe learn a little bit from them. But before we do, I think it's important. So if there are men who are wanting to do these grassroots movements, wanting to take ownership of the parish, wanting to help out build this Catholic culture, how do we help them? Because there are so many men that are flying out of the Catholic Church so quickly. It's crazy. Like Saint Joseph Cupertino.
Yeah, they're the flying saint.
They're flying out faster than he's flying around, so it's really fast.
That was a good try.
Thanks. You can't have them
when
all.
You forget the guy's name.
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
started
hey,
it and I was like,
happens.
dang it, I forgot.
Adam, it happens. Just most people, it's not on video and stuff.
Mm-hmm. But here we are.
Forever.
Right. But here we are. So listen to this. About 11 million adult men in the U.S. were raised Catholic but left the faith.
What time? In 1 year or?
Since 2009. So it says it's a Pew Research that says 9% of adult Catholics in general have left Catholicism, and the census was shown that 250 million adults, and that 49% of those 250 million adults were men, have left the Catholic faith since 2009.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. And so there's study after study showing that about a third of Catholic men say they only attend Mass on a weekly basis. Like, so even the men who say they're Catholic, only about a third of them, 36% 98% of them say that they attend Mass on a weekly basis.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
You know, and less than 50% of the men strongly agree that it's important that their children be raised Catholic. I mean, how crazy is that?
When I hear stuff like that, I get so angry, and I just want to say, get out of the church, like the rest of them.
No.
That's just my anger.
Right.
Like, how dare you say that? Just get out of here. I don't want to look at you.
You get out of here. Yeah. So I say all that.
I don't mean that. It makes me so mad.
Makes you frustrated.
Like when I would that someone would say that.
But I say all that to say that
poser Catholics.
That if we're going to have men who are disciples, especially within the church, who are wanting to take ownership, who say like, I have some gifts that I want to give to the church. And so I'm going to take my own initiative as a layperson to do this ministry to fill this void that's a need within the Catholic Church. We have to support them. And it turns out the USCCB did a report on this that said, yes, we agree. And I think it's interesting that they said it's this crazy phenomenon. They use the word phenomenon that Catholic men's ministries are popping out of nowhere. As in, I don't know, to me that's just mind-boggling. Like, as in they weren't supposed to have it. As in Catholic men weren't supposed to be taking this ownership.
Well, I think there was a day when the priest was, I mean, it was his job to, or people viewed it that way, it was his job to start ministry, and, you know, that was his gig. And that he started all the programs, and that, it, you know...
Right.
I think there was a day where the priest, the pastors had more of a absolute say over everything that one of their parishioners did as far as their work in the church.
Well, they were more of a spiritual father.
Yeah.
I mean, they took their father role a little differently than what they do now. So they asked these questions. They said, you know, why are men doing this? They met all together. They met with a bunch of guys who are doing these lay ministries, and they asked them, the USCCB, a group of bishops said, well, why are you doing this? And they realized that the main thing is that there was this spiritual hunger within these Catholic men. A lot of them went to these, in the early 2000s, there was this group, I think it's still going actually, but it's called Promise Keepers. It's a Christian group, men's group.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
And so they realized that there's a lot of Catholic men going to this group called Promise Keepers, but it wasn't fulfilling them because it wasn't a Catholic group. And so they realized that there were a lot of men who had started raising their families, who had started making decent money, who started achieving some of their quote-unquote dreams, and realized they're still left empty, they're still left unfulfilled. And they realized, well, maybe what I'm supposed to be filled up with is Christ and his church. Shocker, spoiler alert. And so they started realizing that they wanted to give back to the church. Well, if that's the case, well, how do we help them? How do we support? If they're wanting to do this, how do we support them? How do we make Promise Keepers, quote unquote, more Catholic?
Yeah.
And so they realized that they needed to make sure that they incorporated the sacraments, obviously, that evolves around the Eucharist, that evolves around adoration. And that's the thing about men's groups. I'm going to get on the sidebar real quick, help me come back. But that's the thing about men's groups a lot of times, is that it can go, it can lean too far one way or the other. Meaning it could go too far as like, we're going to have 3 hours of adoration and then everybody go home. You know, not that that's bad, but you're not going to get as many men going to 3 hours of adoration consistently. Or it can be, this is just a complete social event, and we're not going to have anything to do with the sacraments or our spiritual life or anything else.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to balance both of those things. That's why I think a lot of times there's groups out there that struggle because they either try to be too much of a fraternity or too much of a just complete spiritual warrior, as far as just too much. There's no balance, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So they asked them, like, so what do we have to do as USCB? As the bishops, how do we support you? And basically, what they told them was, we just want you to, we want more than the surface level Catholicism. We want you, we want to take our faith more seriously. We don't want this kumbaya type of Catholicism, but we want to dig into what our faith actually is.
Yeah, yeah. And I would say that most of the time that the sacramental element is what's missing.
I agree. I think
I think most of the time people err on the side of no sacramental life in a group.
Mm-hmm.
And if you that would be a great thing, like, you know, okay, your weekly group, like our Tuesday group, what if instead of meeting for breakfast we had an adoration hour together where we all had, I mean, like, if that's what you decide to do, that would be a very cool thing. I mean, you would need you want some sort of social element to it where you're having discussion and sharing the difficulties, you know, and stuff. But even if that was all you did, where he's like, hey, the four of us, we get together every Tuesday at this time for each other, you know, and our adoration is dedicated for our families and for each other. You know, that would be awesome.
Right. And so the bishops ask, okay, why are you doing this? And the second thing they asked is, like, how can we help? Those are two very understandable questions. And basically what the men's group said was basically just help, like, support us. You know, attend the men's groups, you know, once a month, or, like, you know,
help us with resources.
With resources, yeah. We don't know necessarily what we should be talking on, or, like, help give us direction.
Yeah. I do think that's the most common question is what should we be
learning?
Right. What should we be reading? What should we be going over together?
Right. And because they realize that most of the time, and I think most dioceses understand this, they have this men's group, men's conference. They have speakers come in. They have all the, you know, it's this spiritual high, the rah rah. Yes, I'm on fire for Jesus, and then you leave, or you know, you go to Cursillo, you have this spiritual high, and then you leave, and there's nothing to fill that void. You get back into the just regular schedule, you know, your regular routines. And you have to have some kind of supplement to the actual event. And so that's why at Cursillo and all these other things they realized that you have to form these small groups weekly to be able to supplement these big events.
Yeah.
So they said that they would meet back and give us a progress report on the topic. Then they did in 2002. They gave us basically kind of a understanding of what men want. One of the things they said in here, and I think it's very interesting, is the relationship with women. They talk about the relationship with women in men's groups. So the understanding of equality and the mutuality, as well as the appreciation of gifts of women. But because women have started taking over a lot of the roles that men used to take over, or used to be in charge of, there was no sense of need or desire, and kind of goes back to what you were saying in a previous segment, that men want to know that they are needed. And so one of the things they realized is because there was women, which is, I mean, thank God for all the women that have helped carry the church, because some of the men have not been. But they realized that because of this, men didn't have this need or desire that they should be fulfilling it. So anyway, you can go on the USCCB website and read these. They're pretty short. But I just wanted to make sure that we understood that men have a role in the parish life that not only we're responsible for in the domestic home, but also in your faith community, which would be in your parish as well. So you need to get involved. Right?
Amen, brother.
We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
And cheers to Jesus. Has that fan been making that sound this whole time?
Yeah.
I can't hear it on my headphones.
Man, I didn't realize that we were so, like, I thought actually we had one more segment, but we don't. We didn't. Because I was going to go over a little bit more of what the next thing was, but...
Does anyone on Facebook have any other questions before we shut her down? If you do, speak now.
Mondays are kind of a slow day. We typically don't
forever hold your peace.
Typically don't have a lot of interaction.
We need to tag Cy Kellett again.
That always moves.
That was a great move on our part.
I agree. Hopefully that helped somebody at least. I don't know.
I doubt it.
Yeah. Probably not.
All right, I'm not getting any questions.
All right, man.
Any final words? There was like something I was walking over here thinking, oh, I need to make sure to bring that up.
Oh, wait, we did get one. What does adoration look like for a men's group? I'm a new Catholic and really looking to learn what that looks like. Boom. Brian, like you are like the guy that I was hoping to talk to in this episode. Like,
yeah, so the first thing you want to do is go down to your local music store, okay? You need to stock up on tambourines.
And a triangle.
Yeah, a triangle. Maybe a harpsichord.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
No. So, no. So, Dave and I have done this before our, before one of our first ever fundraisers for Theology at the Tower. We decided, like, hey, man, we need to pray together. Do you even remember this? We went to Adoration together.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, we both have the same intentions that we need, that we're wanting.
Yeah, we were doing it for a specific intention.
Right. So, for instance, Brian, it would be like, if you have another guy that, a friend from the parish or something like that, it'd be like, hey, man, how about on Tuesday mornings, you and I meet at the Adoration Chapel and we pray for the sanctity of our own families, for the sanctity of our wives, the sanctity of, that we receive the grace, that we receive grace and that we act on the grace to help our children learn more about the faith and grow up in the faith. And let's do that together as brothers. And so you just go there on Tuesday morning and you sit there and you pray together. You don't have to, like, when I say pray together, you don't have to like.
No, you're not speaking out loud.
Yeah,
you're just there in together. Prayer, united spiritually.
Right.
It's very manly because you don't have to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like Ron Swanson sitting by the fire drinking a glass of scotch. Just total silence. It's like that on a spiritual level. So, I think that we could probably do an episode on this, but just about all the wasted actions of the average Catholic life. Okay?
I don't want to do it because I'll realize all the wasted actions that I have.
Like, there are... it's kind of like a Catholic hack, kind of, but it shouldn't be that way. This should be more a normal thing, not like, ooh, this is kind of a hack.
Mm-hmm.
But every time you go to adoration, it should be for a specific intention or a whole bunch of intentions. Every time you go to Mass, it should be for a specific intention. And then every time you receive the Eucharist, it should be for a specific intention. Like, I'm offering up this Mass. Here's the intention that I'm offering this Mass with. But then when I receive the Eucharist, it's with this specific, you can have a different intention.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different action. That's something very, very specific. Saint Therese received the Eucharist one time for somebody who had been condemned on death row when she was a brand new, sister. And, she said, I'm going to receive the Eucharist for him. And then as he was a guy who was unrepentant, and on his way up to be hanged, I think, I forget if he was hanged or beheaded. I think he was hanged. He grabbed a cross and kissed the wounds of Christ.
Wow.
And that was like she had made this deal with God, like, show me I'm taking him as mine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm receiving you for him. Anyway, that's something that we can do. So we can do these simple actions and offer them up. And it's a good reminder that that it's not us. It's not like I have to work hard. I think sometimes when we get into penance, if that's your main offering, which, it probably is because you have a lot more opportunities to suffer than you do receive the sacraments. But if that's all you do, you can easily adopt an attitude of, let me bear burdens. I'm doing work. It's because of my own strength that I'm earning spiritual merit.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up deceiving yourself and earning none.
Mm-hmm.
Because now all of a sudden you're doing all of these things for pride and not for the glory of God, not out of charity. So it's important, I think, to maintain these other offerings, where we're receiving communion, we're just spending time in adoration. Because you go and you sit there.
Mm-hmm.
And what do? Nothing.
You waste time with God.
You're literally doing nothing in adoration. The same is true in the Mass. What do? It's kind of a waste of time when you, like the Mass. What'd you accomplish? Nothing. I didn't. But that's fine.
You need to make sure you
like from a practical standpoint, did you accomplish anything? No. But
spiritually,
did is it the most important thing you did today? Yes.
Or the week? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, just get a bunch of guys today, decide as a group, this is what our intention is.
Get a text message chain going.
Yeah. Especially if you're going to be doing something together. If you're going to go on a pilgrimage with some people, have an adoration hour before you go, or whatever. I mean, get creative with it, but we should be incorporating Christ in the Blessed Sacrament into our lives as much as we possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be a big group. It could just be 2 people.
Right.
It could just be you. I just think that we need adoration. It needs to be more popular.
I agree. That's why I think every man should have at least an adoration hour a week.
Yeah, Brian, I would encourage you just to sign up for an hour a week, where it's like, this is your hour. You need to be there to cover it. It's your obligation.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it will be so good for you. It will be awesome. It's been good for me. It's good for everybody. Good question. I'm going to shut it down.
That sounds like a good idea.